cannery. And I remember in the living room there was a black clock hanging on the south wall. And I used to take my naps laying on the couch under the clock and listen to it tick tock. And I never knew where that clock went when the old adobe house was torn down. And I can remember going over there, Grandma's, and Aunt Marge would break out her not guitar, but banjo. And I remember her playing to us on the banjo. And I never did figure out where there was 2 bedrooms. There's 3 bedrooms in the house. Uncle Art occupied the one, Grandma and Grandpa the other one, and the boys the one by the kitchen. And so I'm assuming Bernice was married by the time I can remember. But I guess the girls occupied in the dining room. But that old house was quite something else. Go outside to the well, which is really just a tap on city water to haul water into the house for everything, dishes, bathing, everything. That was the day before the way back when, anyway. So, thank you.
My brain, because I told Maxine, even living next door to Grandma and Grandpa, I don't have hardly any memories, because Grandma was sick in bed. That's what I remember the most. But every morning we'd get up at home and Mom would be gone over to Grandma and Grandpa and go make them breakfast. And that was as long as I ever remember. I don't ever remember eating breakfast at home because she'd get up. And I remember one thing, thinking about it, when I was really, really small, Ralph and I would play, I don't know where Ralph is, but we would go play down in the barnyard all the time. And we would find bottles of whiskey and stuff with a little bit in because the hobos would be on the trains there, and they would get off from the train there because they always knew that they could get food at Grandma and Grandpa's. I remember that I was like,
just 1/10 of the woman that my mom was. She was full of ambition, and she could use it on us kids. She taught us the things that we needed to know, and she worked like a slave, almost like a slave, because she had a lot of us kids to keep our clothes clean, and she did it. And it was just special, because I thought, if I could put a big old boiler on the stove and fill it with water on the well that you had to pump the water out of, and heat it, put it in a washer, get the handle and wash them clothes, and keep us kids all clean. That was one of the biggest jobs anybody could ever do, and she done it. And she taught us. She tried to teach us not to fight, but we fought like a bunch of wild Comanches. And it was so fun. and what my brothers couldn't think of wasn't worth thinking of. I learned a lot of good stuff from them, how to fight and how to scream and all of that good stuff. And I'm so happy that I have the mother that I have and tried to teach me to be a good mother. And she's done a pretty daggone good job.
Amen.
And that's out of the mouth of the lady that mowed her lawn till she fell from over the lake, all by herself. You know, she was almost 90 when she was doing it. She can just stay there. Just stay right there, Aunt. Yeah, just sit right there. She's got food over there. Rafi, it's your turn.
Well, I've got a number of stories that I'd like to tell, and some of them are funny and some of them are a little squeamish. Uncle Arch was my grandfather's brother, and he never married. As he became an adult, he moved in with Grandma and Grandpa, and he had a pretty quick mind. He figured that Grandpa had all these milk cows, that he'd go and buy a bull, and then half of everything belonged to him. So he managed to convince Grandpa that half of the milk checks were him, and he would use the bull to breed the cows, and that's how the checks became half his. In the course of events, I'm not sure how Grandma didn't beat him in the head with a hammer when the little kids were going hungry for Christmas things and things, and he was saving money. Now Janine and I know that he saved money because we went down in the basement one day and climbed through the closet and found a suitcase, and in the suitcase were bottles of money rolled up, and these were 5s and 10s and $20 bills, and there were bottles and bottles of it. Well, Arch took a dim view of our investigating his domain, had a conniption fit. He was threatening to kill us, but we survived that one too. The experiences that I remember of my uncles was we'd go down to the barnyard when I was little, and they got pretty good milking cows, and they could squirt that milk clear across the barn and hit us right in the face with milk. And we didn't know where it was coming from. It just happened. So that was an entertaining part of being a grandma. We also had occasion to have the milkman come and pick up the milk after they had milked the cows and put it in 10-gallon milk cans, and they kept it in cool water in the milk house. And this old fellow, his name was Randall, would come and pick up a 10-gallon can of milk in each hand and pack it out to the truck, and then lift it up onto a 4-foot truck bed, one with each hand. And that was pretty impressive because any of you ever picked up a 10-gallon milk can, it's more than just a little on the heavy side. But it was an amazing time when we would be there. But I remember as Grandma got older, Uncle Alan had been taking such good care of all his life. He had a really hard time realizing that his mother wasn't able to do his laundry anymore. And sometimes he got really unhappy that somebody hadn't taken care of his clothes. She was just too sick and old to do it. It was really amazing. Well, I've chattered enough, but it's wonderful to remember the good times going up. We would go up on Saturday night after my mother got off from work, and we would stay Saturday and Sunday and then come home Sunday night when one of the brothers would come and stay with Grandma and Grandpa. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Which one of you two is the oldest?
I really don't have a lot of memories, but I do recall we used to come over there and visit grandparents, and Grandpa would sneak up behind us and would push his false teeth out and scare the heck out of you. You remember doing that? He would do that all the time. And that's the only thing I remember. Maybe that's why I always picked on Randy. But honestly, we were pretty young. I just remember the old house and the barns.
Maybe my dad got it from there. He used to make some funny faces. Like that. Okay, Kevin.
Well, I do have some memories. First of all, I want to tell you there's a black case up here on the stage. And after Mom passed away a couple of months ago, Stan and I and Jackie, and we'd been cleaning out her house, and we found that old black trunk there. And it's got a lot of stuff in it from Alfred and Lillian and Rulin and Alan. It's mostly receipts of things. There's some, I don't know if any of it's important or not, but somebody may want to look at it. There's a big ledger, big book, big black book that has somebody's stories in there that somebody might be interested in looking at a little bit. And somebody had a store. It looks like they kept a lot of information about a store. I don't know, like they were ordering different things to sell in the store and keep track of that. I don't know if that was our relative or not, but most of the stuff in that box is about Alfred and Lillian. Their bank statements, I know one I saw, Barnes Bank, they had $27 and something cents in it. So they weren't well off as far as a lot of money in the bank, you know, but they were able to take care of the kids, raise family. I do remember the old house and the adobe house. I remember the adobe house was kind of all tipped over. It was just a mound of dirt when I was a little kid. And the lane went between the adobe house on the south and the newer house on the north. And it ran out towards the farm area and the barnyard and stuff. Just south, or just west of the adobe house, there was a big rock sitting under a big old box elder tree, I think. And I remember seeing everybody sitting on there from time to time. But I do remember Grandpa sitting on there. And he'd always have some kind of a hat, felt hat probably, and a bunch of Oshkosh Bagosh overalls. He wore quite a bit, I know. I can still see him doing that. And just kind of hanging around the farmyard there. I know Dad always told a story about Grandpa. That he dressed, kind of looked like a hobo, like whoever was saying it to me. The hobos down there on the railroad tracks. And as Janine said, the hobos would always come up and bang on the door and want to get food. Well, one day Grandpa was heading west, going down to the west pasture, which was on the other side of the railroad tracks. And he passed a hobo heading east, heading up to his house. And he told him, there ain't no sense going up there, those folks ain't got nothing. Anyway, and I remember out in the barnyard, Tom and I, we used to raise heck like crazy out there all the time. We'd go find, they had chickens running all over the place. We had a heck of a good time going finding the eggs and smashing them on the damn barnyard walls and getting Uncle Arch all mad at us. And swinging on the derrick and just carrying on like a couple of yahoos. So, anyway, I guess that's all I've got. But please take a look at that black box. I don't want to take it home. Somebody take it home who can use it.
You know, Kev, I think all of us are a bunch of yahoos, and I think we had a lot of fun in that barnyard. So thank you. I appreciate that. I wanted to hear those stories.
I wanted to tell too, I can remember Grandpa sitting in the chair in the living room, in I don't know, well, there's a few of us here that know what churning butter in a jar is. You know, not one with a handle, you put it in the jar, and just shook it. And I remember Grandpa sitting in that chair by the hour with a 2-quart mason jar with cream in it, and bouncing that on his knee, and back and forth, until such time the butter was there. And it was magic to watch that butter in that jar. But he bounced it on his knee and just very patiently until it was butter, so we could have it on the table. And like I say, there's a few of us who remember churning butter in an old jar, but not very many in those days.
I think we're all lucky to live when we do. We have a lot of things that we take for granted. Okay, are we gonna clean up the